the information we got from our previous briefing, the sort of main facts as we approach 8 o'clock in the morning. This mass shooting happened in Monterey Park. It happened at the Star Ballroom, which is a dance studio there. It happened after a full day of celebrating the Chinese Lunar New Year with a giant community festival with tens of thousands of people in the area. We know that 10 people were killed inside the Star Ballroom dance studio, 10 more at least wounded. The suspect, as far as we know, still at large, and police investigating a second incident in Alhambra. We don't know how that specifically is connected to the Monterey Park incident. We want to welcome you to our special live coverage as we now are in the 8 o'clock hour. I'm Elex Michaelson.
I'm Brooke Thomas. Unfortunately, it is not a good morning, and it was supposed to be a good morning, supposed to be a happy celebration. And Elex, you just mentioned those two incidents. I'm glad we have this map pulled up here because this just gives you an idea. We're talking about around 2 miles apart, these two locations. So not far at all. Not far. And it is possible that the suspect drove to both of them late last night. This incident happening in Monterey Park around 10:20 or so. We don't know the order of where that suspect may or may not have been. That's among the new information we're hoping to get in a matter of moments. So some of the questions that we have going into this press conference: who was the suspect? What were they motivated by? Are they still on the loose? What do we know about the victims? How are the victims in the hospital doing? Do we have any good news to share on that? Could there be bad news? Is it possible that one of the victims who was in critical condition may have passed away because of gunshot wounds? And sort of where do we go going forward for this community as well? All those key questions we're trying to get answered in the next few minutes. As we're talking about reaction from the community, reaction from officials, I wanted to show you here. This is United States Congresswoman Judy Chu tweeting this morning: "My heart is broken for the victims, their families, and the people of my hometown Monterey Park who were impacted by the mass shooting that took place during a night of Lunar New Year celebrations." She let us know she is closely following this situation. And Elex, you said something earlier, you know, we will eventually and hopefully soon know who these people were, these 10 people who lost their lives, 10 families impacted, people who had families, people who had mothers and fathers and possibly children and sisters and brothers, and we want to know their names. We want to see photos of them. This is devastating.
It is devastating. So this is a live picture from that press conference that we are awaiting there. It looks like some of the officials are there, standing by and gathering. They're running a little bit late as they try to kind of get on the same page and figure out what exactly they're going to say to us. It looks like somebody may be taking an elevator there, so that's a sign that that may not be starting imminently. Right. And as we await that, we look back on the scene itself. And what you see there that we didn't see several hours ago is giant FBI vehicles that have arrived. You know, this started off as an incident for the Monterey Park Police Department, which is a relatively small police department. Monterey Park, a relatively small city. For example, Monterey Park has 61,000 residents. The city of Los Angeles has 4 million. So obviously their police department is a lot smaller than, say, the LAPD or the LA County Sheriff's Department. LA County, of course, with 10 million residents. And from the early on hours, the LA County Sheriff's Department, which, by the way, was headquartered in Monterey Park for many years, has been very involved in the response to this. And you see a lot of different agencies responding on the ground, including the fire department, helping get people into ambulances.
And the small community, as you can imagine, understandably not necessarily equipped to handle what could be the 4th deadliest mass shooting in our state's history.
Sandra Endo is standing by for us. She's been there since the middle of the night, and it looks like she's got a guest there. Sandra.
I do, you know, and this is such a tight-knit community, a community where people have come to just congregate together. A lot of Asian Americans living here, as you know, and Van is here. You've lived here for 10 years. You've come out just because you heard the news. You woke up to the news on Lunar New Year that this happened. What goes through your mind knowing that this happened in your community? Something like this never usually happens here.
I think he just stated it, just a lot of shock. I mean, just considered a very safe neighborhood. But unfortunately, I tend to hear that a lot lately, never in my town. So just shocked. FBI presence is just, took me off guard. I got a couple texts this morning from friends concerned, but, fortunately, nobody, that I know of was injured, but, our hearts and prayers go out to the victims. Just heartbreaking.
And the Star Ballroom, it's a ballroom studio, ballroom dance studio, you said, that has been in the community for a long time. I know you haven't been there in a long time, but what can you tell us about that?
From what I know, at least in the past, it's traditionally ballroom dancing, where you go to learn dancing. And from what I recollect in the past, it was like a older community, like I would say late 40s, 50s, people go there. A lot of regulars. That's my recollection of it in the past. Obviously, I haven't been there recently, so I can't speak for it now, but I couldn't imagine it could possibly originated there, but again, nowadays it's just social media, and I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, I know when we were talking, it came to a surprise to you that it actually happened there, a place that in the community as being a ballroom dance studio, but just what a start to the new year, right? Marked with tragedy, the Lunar New Year being such an important holiday for so many here in the Asian American community.
Yeah, I mean, you stated it, it's just amazing, Year of the Rabbit, and just occurring. I heard in the news that the festival was canceled this morning, so I don't know, I'm guessing it's the first time too, but just shock, so.
And we thank you for sharing your thoughts with us, and being here as a resident in this community must not be easy today, so thank you very much. Obviously, this was a big moment for Monterey Park and the Asian American community here. This was the first time they started their Lunar New Year celebration, their 2-day-long celebration here after COVID. So this was the first parade. Yesterday, families coming out enjoying a parade along Garvey Avenue. And then, of course, in the night, there were more celebrations. That ballroom dance studio could have been booked out for a private event. We don't know what kind of party was taking place there. I know on their website it did say available for private events. There's also karaoke there as well. So maybe it has changed over recent years, not only subject to ballroom dancing groups, but clearly that is another question that we will be finding out, hopefully an answer to, as we hear more from local law enforcement officials. But that resident is just so indicative of how so many people here in the community will be waking up to the news that this tragedy has struck this community, and how devastating it is on this Lunar New Year. Elex and Brooke.
Sandra, thank you. We are still awaiting that press conference, which could begin at any moment now. Our colleague Gigi Graciette just texted us a confirmation of one of the questions that we all have, which is the suspect been arrested? And according to Gigi's sources, so far, this suspect, alleged to have killed 10 people, is still not under arrest. This suspect is still at large. So it'll be interesting to see if we get a more detailed suspect description in the next few minutes to potentially have the public help in trying to apprehend this person.
Yeah, and there's also the public concern of their safety right now. When you hear someone has killed 10 people, 10 other people injured right now in the hospital with injuries from this incident. People want to know more, what police know, what authorities know about who did this. They also want to know as much as they can about the hunt for who did this. They want to know if they're safe in their homes right now, if they're safe leaving their homes right now.
And Gigi's reporting continues with there is no indication that he's dead. Meaning one of the possibilities we were raising earlier is sometimes in these sort of situations, a suspect will then kill himself and they will find him hours later, which is why it took a while to figure out where they are. Of course, that's still possible, but as far as what sources are telling Gigi, they are operating under the assumption that he is alive, and they have no reason to believe so far that he is in fact dead. So we should get more sort of robust official information hopefully soon But that is an answer to one of the key questions we were hoping to learn at the top of the hour, this press conference, which is now about 10 minutes delayed, which is, what is the status of this suspect? And that right now, Brooke, is the key issue.
Absolutely.
That we really need to know, because oftentimes with these mass shootings, they end with the suspect either killing himself, and almost always it's a man that's doing the shooting, or law enforcement either apprehending that person or shooting and killing them. And in this situation, we don't have that. So usually those scenarios, the story is kind of over. It's just a matter of putting together the pieces. But here, we've got a real threat to our community. And this story is very much still breaking and very much a fluid situation.
Yeah, you know, we were talking to Orange County District Attorney Todd Spitzer earlier this morning about the different directions this investigation goes, the hunt for the suspect goes, depending on who this person is and their connection or lack thereof to the victims in this incident, and what we know about the suspect, what we could know about the suspect, and what that means about how police go about finding them.
Exactly. And so a lot of things we still want to learn at this hour as we continue to monitor the situation there. We're going to go back to a comment that was brought up by the mayor of Los Angeles. This is what she tweeted out, and so we're going to read her comment for you.
And she said that, you know, the reports coming out of Monterey Park are absolutely devastating, saying families deserve to celebrate the holidays in peace. She said mass shootings and gun violence are a plague in our communities. Also saying this: as investigations determine whether these murders were motivated by Asian hate, we continue to stand united against all attempts to divide us. And she kind of started and ended with the same comment, saying, my heart goes out to Monterey Park and the families and friends of those lost.
That from the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, who was in Congress, the author of the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, and has talked about the issues involving guns and policing many times over the years. So we're looking at these two scenes where we have live reporters at the top of your screen on Garfield Avenue. That's in Alhambra. That's where Mario Ramirez is stationed. We understand that that scene is somehow connected to the scene at the bottom of your screen, which is in Monterey Park, the site of that Star Ballroom Dance Studio, where 10 people were killed and at least 10 people injured. How they're connected, what we know about that spot in Alhambra, that is another key question that we hope to get answered when this press conference, which was supposed to start 12 minutes ago, hopefully begins any moment now. This is a live picture from that press conference. This is in front of the City of Monterey Park City Hall. And this is where we expect people to, including the sheriff, to come out and begin to brief us. You think about today, a day in Monterey Park. I think of that area where I've covered there, and it has some of the best food in Southern California. When I think of Monterey Park, I mean, just amazing, amazing food, and such a kind community to report in over the years, and this community, which was so excited about this Lunar New Year celebration, came out in force yesterday with tens of thousands of people there on the streets, and expecting another tens of thousands of people today. But instead, there will be no celebration, but a day of mourning and a day of fear.
And it's something Sandra pointed out earlier that reminded us of that this was not only supposed to be a happy day, a celebration, but this was kind of a new beginning, a community that has been through a lot over the past 3 years, been through so much over the past 3 years. This was supposed to be, you know, releasing kind of that deep breath. And this is what these people are waking up to this morning, the news of a tie with the fourth deadliest mass shooting in California's history. Not even a full month into 2023.
Yeah, and we hope that that list of victims does not grow as well as we get more information on all of this. So what you're looking at there, in the front part of your picture, is the FBI, which is now there out in force to help in this investigation.